everybody, and welcome back to the Involved Parenting Conversations with myself, Victorine, where I am giving a different dynamic, very different dynamic to the parenting conversations that we've been having. Today we are talking to award-winning author, Michelle. Michelle won an award in the tourism sector as one of the most influential African writers, female, in the tourism sector. Am I correct, Michelle?
Yes, with the African Author Awards, yes.
The African Author Award, first ever in 2018. So I'm so humbled to be part of the awards, and I'm so humbled to be interviewing you here today. Can you please just tell us about yourself before we carry on?
Well, firstly, thank you for having me here. And I'm an avid traveler. I wrote this book called Those Who Travel Meet Themselves because many a times when I have traveled, I have met myself. And when I say met myself, I mean encountered different parts of myself, because often when you're traveling, sometimes you find yourself, be it in a comfortable situation, in the sense that you might not know the language that people speak in that particular country.
The culture.
Oh yes, the culture, because there's always these nuances and dynamics that take place in language, in culture, that you are introduced to when you travel. And in that, I've been able to often find things that have stretched me and grown me as a person, so that when I come back home, I come back better than what I was when I left. And often it's not even sometimes leaving to go to a faraway country somewhere. Sometimes something as simple as I'm originally from KZN, going to Limpopo. You know, there's several languages that are spoken in Limpopo.
And so, several cultures that have changed over time as well. I mean, South Africa is an evolving nation.
Absolutely, we are an evolving nation. So it's always so good to get out of one's province, out of one's town, out of one's neighborhood, and discover something different about the town that you live in.
I like how you put it, and the conversation has drifted further than I had wanted it to be. I thought we were just going to do a small introduction to who you are.
Yes.
But I mean, talking about passion, when you talk on your passion, you talk many things. Yes. So Michelle, how did you come about finding yourself in a sector where you didn't only love traveling and tourism, you started writing and putting down things in books?
So how it happened was that in 2012, I decided I needed to swap careers. I've been in the pet care industry, but the one thing
what industry?
Pet care.
Okay.
Yes, wow. Pet care, premium pet care actually. And so the one thing I decided was I was searching. What is it that drives me? What is it that I love? What is it that I enjoy? What is it that I'm passionate about? And then I was chatting to my mom in these discussions, and she said to me, you know, you've always loved traveling. I remember when you were a child and I was leaving you and you were chasing after the car.
Okay. Like, mommy, take me.
Yes, I think the biggest tantrums I ever had as a child were around, don't leave me, I want to go with you.
Wow.
So and when she said that, the penny kind of dropped, because our parents, especially when you've had a good relationship and they've seen you and been actively part of your growth, they know things about you that you even forget about yourself.
And so for you, it was one of those moments that ignited the person that you would become.
Absolutely, yeah.
Those conversations. That is quite interesting. I mean, talking to me and with my interest in involved parenting, I would like to find out how do you then rate the amount of involvement that your parents had in your life growing up and currently as well?
Look, I think my parents were super involved in my raising. They weren't running the show, but they certainly. Not running the show sounds bad, but what I'm saying is that they, you know, sometimes we want to spoon feed kids.
Yes.
They were not the spoon feeding type.
Okay.
If I said I can't reach the light bulb, they would say, well, how can you reach it? Think of the ways in which you can do it and go do it. So, and when I had moments of uncomfortability, I contributed my story about the first time I traveled alone by myself, but I was on camp. And it was just after 1994, and I find myself there, and I call home because I'm like, oh my God, Mom, I'm the only one here, you know.
How are you?
Everybody else, I was the only brown yellow person in this group of very peach people. So, and Afrikaans speaking. And I didn't speak Afrikaans at the time. So I was just like, what is going
How do I cope,
on?
mommy?
How do I cope? So I called my mom and I was like, oops, made a mistake, please come fetch me. And she said, yeah, enjoy it. Where do you think I'm coming to fetch you?
Wow.
So, and that for me, I always say that for me is one of the most remarkable moments, because instead of my mom just hearing, oh, I'm uncomfortable, please come pick me up, she heard what I was saying.
But she also said a zone to feel comfortable.
Yeah, she said you have enough strength inside of you to sort this one out yourself. You said you took a decision. You said you wanted to go camping. We empowered you to go camping. So now stick it out. I can't come and rescue you from everything.
Which is basically what your book is talking about. It's talking about stick out to the fact that there are people who are different from you in places that are different from where you are. But also, these people are there to empower you, if I'm correct.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because that is still one of the key moments in my life. That moment, because I always think back to it. Whenever I think I can't do something, I remember that you know what, my mom knew I could do it, and I'm sure it must have been just as scary for her, but you know, no different from when you're living with a child in school for the first time.
Exactly.
And they're screaming, "Don't leave me!" You know. So
what is interesting about this book is that it features stories by others.
Yes.
The title is "Those Who Travel Meet Themselves."
Yeah.
Right, and it features about, I can see 9 people on the cover
yes,
here.
15 stories. Yeah.
15 stories with 9 contributors, so it would be 10 contributors including yourself.
No, it's actually 15 contributors in total.
Okay.
And those are the first 9 whose pictures I had. So they got on
Very unfair, but I'm loving it because I love one of I know one of the faces. He's actually a friend of mine as well.
Yeah.
We will get back to that in due course. For now, I think we should take a break. And when we come back, we will be reading from your book and discussing more about that.
That's it.
This episode was proudly sponsored by the prestigious Profound Conference Center. We are a centrally located venue in Johannesburg that caters for your trainings, workshops, parties, and general events. Contact us on 011 440 7501 or info@profoundcenter.co.za. Follow us on social media on Profound Conference Center.
Welcome back to the Involved Parenting Conversations with myself, Victorine, where I am talking to Michelle, an amazing lady who's written a book on tourism. You know, this book just carries me away, Michelle. Thank you so much for being part of the audience for today. I want to read from page 27 of the book, Those Who Travel Meet Themselves. Strange things happen when you travel. And then it says, distant relatives are always a good excuse to travel. Grandparents that live far away, who demand to see their grandchildren, the elders that oblige parents to prioritize visitations under any circumstances where possible. This would be the start of my travel to that life. Even though I had made a journey from Botswana, my birthplace, to Johannesburg, South Africa, many times, one particular moment stands out the most. As fate will have it, we traveled by road to see my grandmother. On one of those worst winters in South Africa. I like that. It was a strange experience to me, as I had never experienced anything that cold before in my life. And I chose to read an excerpt from Keto Ngwangwa's contribution.
Yes.
The reason I chose this is because when I read the first sentence, it spoke about grandparents, it spoke about parents, and it spoke about relatives. And I have to get selfish and talk on something that resonates with me, my work on parenting, you see. So going back to the fact that what we become is not what we were born, but it's what the environment nurtures us to be. So,
And the choices we make in that environment,
the choices we make within that environment.
Yeah, because you can have parents who want grandparents who want to see their grandchildren, but you can have non-obliging children. That's the thing.
I get you.
And so that's why I always say it's also the choices that we make, because there's always a fulfillment as well in being able to have I to this day still envy kids who have their grandparents. So my grandparents have passed on, because the relationship that as well that you have with your grandparents is totally different to the one that you have with your parents. But you know, it's the dynamics bring out again different elements of who we are.
But the beauty here is she doesn't only limit it to grandparents, she also says relatives.
Yes,
So even though you don't have grandparents, or your children
Yeah.
would not have grandparents, you do have relatives.
Yes, absolutely. We do.
Oh, bless you. I mean, with me, I'm an orphan. My husband is an orphan, so it's even worse.
Yeah.
And I hate kids for, excuse me, I hate kids for starting off by saying grandparents because my children don't have parents.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it resonates with the word relatives.
Yeah.
And it's very important. I mean, it's when you pick up a book on tourism, I didn't imagine I would find anything on parents in the book. I thought I would see things that talk about the Department of Tourism in South Africa, that talks about how to get a visa. And so how did you come about? How did you come about a conversation that takes you into your own being rather than commercializing the word tourism, which is already a commercialized word?
Absolutely. I think that one of the big things for me is, as you know, South Africa has been a country that previously there was restrictions around movement for people of color. So it meant that if you were going to travel somewhere, you had to plan it out properly. But also, how are we going to travel if we don't have a car? It's not like everybody had cars as well.
Oh, money.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. So now, you know, what are the stories on those people who have said, okay, yes, it's almost 25 years that we are free. How have people changed the dynamic? How have people found ways in which, and even during that time, how did our parents navigate space to allow us to experience what travel is? You know, in the Department of Tourism says one of the biggest stats for traveling is that people travel to visit, they call it VRF, I think, if I remember correctly, to visit relatives and family.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so for me, I just think that traveling has been over-commercialized. And I'll tell you why. Last night I was discussing with my husband who had a mishap in Durban, and he decided to travel by car. He missed his flight, let me say it straight away. So he decided to take a bus and come to Johannesburg. So I got back, I wasn't home, got back and we're talking, and he said to me, you know what? The poorest person can travel to KZN and have fun and come back. So I said to him, why? And he said to me, we have been spending so much on plane tickets. It cost me 350 rand to leave Durban, my hotel in Durban, and come to Johannesburg. And I said to him, really? He gave me the breakdown of it. And it was a comfortable berth, double-decker, and he got to Johannesburg. And he said to me, he could as well just go back on the same fare. But we have made it so like, you have to be able to pay for a plane ticket, you have to be able to hire a vehicle, and we live in those realities that are not the realities of travel and tourism. Because the realities of travel and tourism is that you should see.
Yes,
You should
touch,
enjoy.
experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I think people limit themselves in that. You know, when I first started traveling, last year, I think of varsity, I decided my sister and I were going to go on a road trip.
which sister is the one who's here in studio?
Yes, yeah, my younger sister.
Okay.
And
she's right here in studio.
so my younger sister and I went traveling, and it was we went on a bus, and we went to, I think we went to Nelspruit, we went to Durban, and we did it all in a bus. And I was still a student, and I'd saved up the money from all the little jobs that I had. So the big thing is that sometimes we think that we need to have 15,000 to go somewhere.
Yes.
It's not. You can couch surf. You can ask people to if you can stay over for one day here, one day there.
Stay over is a very important activity in tourism. You know, I always say to my friends, when I go to cities where I have friends, I don't want to stay in hotels where I know people. It's not only time to catch up, but time for me to learn your culture. Because who are we when we don't get people into our homes?
Yeah.
You know, I would love to come, and it's also a very strange thing in South Africa, particularly where we don't share our homes with people. I get very touched about things like that. Like you call your friends and you say, "I'm coming to Durban," and they say to you, "Yeah, we'll see you," and then you get to Durban, they go off. They don't see you any longer. They don't talk to you. They don't. It's quite sad. It's not the Ubuntu that the African nation has, but also it takes away the learning experience from us who travel because you're traveling to them. I don't know what you feel about that.
I agree with you. I think there are definitely instances where people are very caught up in their lives, and so we kind of lose the culture of learning to keep friendship. I'll give you an idea. I was in the Netherlands and I had a friend who couch surfed on my couch many moons ago and kept on coming back to South Africa every year because of couch surfing on my couch and the friendship that was built out of that. So when I was in the Netherlands now to go see my in-laws, he came through from Germany to come and hang out with me in Maastricht. So it was really amazing.
It stretched to intimacy.
Absolutely.
Which is, I mean, what you are talking here, knowing themselves, you know, not knowing the places.
Yeah, and that speaks to those deeper relationships that we form and the bonds that lie between people who have met each other in travel instances and continue to actually, through being kind and caring with each other, continue to have a relationship far beyond the
travel.
Yes.
Thank you so much for that. We will be back.
This episode is proudly sponsored by your number one training and educational company, Trainers Without Borders. Trainers is known over all the African continent for its expertise. Contact us on 011-440-8901 or email us on info@trainerswithoutborders.co.za. Follow us on social media by clicking Trainers Without Borders.
Hello, this is the Involved Parenting Show. We are still talking to Michelle. Michelle has an amazing book. Michelle won an award for her book, and she's here to tell you more about the book and to tell you about herself. So Michelle, I give you 30 seconds of fame.
Okay, 30 seconds of fame. Let me make it good. Those Who Travel Meet Themselves is a book about people of color who use travel to define their lives and go out of their comfort zones. It's written all by South Africans, and you can get your copy from www.nomadicmichelle.com, or you can contact me on the website. You can also follow us at Those Who Travel Meet Themselves on Instagram, at Those Who Travel Meet Themselves Twitter, and at Those Who Travel Meet Themselves on Facebook.
Good girl. What do you have on the limelight? What is coming up?
Yeah, so Tourism Month is coming up, and I want to hear more of your stories and what does travel mean for people in South Africa?
When is the month?
From the 1st of September. So from the 1st of September, if you go onto www.nomadicmichelle.com, there's a submit your story section, and you can submit your story, and every week we're going to highlight 2 stories out of the stories that have been submitted, and we're going to share them with everyone, and it might just end up in the 2nd edition of Those Who Travel Meet Themselves, which we are currently working on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so good to know. And then another thing that I would like Michelle to talk about is how the Department of Tourism is supporting her and her work, but also any other person within the industry.
Yeah. So with being in the industry, I've linked on a lot of people. When we were in Nelspruit, we had a book reading in the evening at Kasambo Lodge. Really amazing place, run by Carol Sanderson. And it was absolutely beautiful having her, who's such a dynamic industry leader, participating in the conversation. And we were talking about things as simple as infrastructure. You know, we need public transport to travel between Wanyamazana and Nelspruit, but public transport ends at 5. So, you know, now you have to question yourself, how long can you be out in the city for, and all these things.
You just follow the rules. That's fine. Otherwise you walk. We used to walk. Nothing happened.
You know, safety becomes a factor.
It does. I mean, today is different.
Yeah, today is very different. So these are all things that we'd love, you know, municipalities to think about these things. Department of Transport, these are initiatives that are out there that we can be working on, and we will be leaning on the National Department of Tourism. I was very lucky in 2016. I was nominated as one of the upcoming women in tourism by the National Department of Tourism, and they paid for my education executive development program. So that was really fantastic and eye-opening as well. So it's an industry that I definitely want to stay in and continue in. And those who travel meet themselves.
So you can travel with Michelle.
It's just a beginning. Yes.
Another fantastic thing about authors is that they take you to places that you may never be. But just by reading the books, you find yourself there. So
Absolutely.
I think Michelle is not only emphasizing the fact that you have to travel, but the fact that you have to read books. And I mean, like my books, for instance, I always say to people, when you read my book, you find yourself.
Yeah.
Because they are conscience-pricking books on parenting.
Absolutely.
And before we go up, I would like Michelle to tell you her experience of parenting and if she's an involved parent or not, if she has stopped complaining or not.
I like to think that my husband and I are very involved parents. We have a young daughter, and she also really enjoys being out of the house and going to different places. Yes. Yeah, so for instance, we went off to one of the game reserves, and all we did is we got a little Find the Animal book. So it tells you what animals, if it's Impala, what kind of animal it is, what kind of food it eats. So it becomes an informative experience as well. So it's not just, oh look, an animal, but it's interactive, because then we stop, write down the name, what do you think it's eating. So for me, that's the type of fun that I like having with
when you travel.
Yes,
and
yeah,
with your child.
yes, because we're traveling at the same time we're learning.
Yes.
Because also sometimes you don't know what particular food that particular animal enjoys, for instance.
And also seeing is different. Seeing is very different from hearing or reading.
Yeah.
So the feel part of tourism is very important. So we encourage you to go out there, find yourself. You can find them in books, you can find them in travel, but the most important thing is if you travel, you find yourself.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being part of the Involved Parenting Conversations. We will keep talking to authors this week as I am exploring and learning with the authors who won the African Author of the Year Award. Follow CTVSA on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and subscribe to YouTube. You can see I'm looking around. But that is it. Parents are people who are on social media. If you're not on social media, you miss out a lot on parenting. So see you again soon. Oh, you can also follow Involved Parenting Conversations. I'm on all the social media platforms as Bongshu. MBONGSHU.